They wanted to call it Brocktober. We thought it might be a Brockalypse now. We weren't really sure which one to go with. But
I honestly thought it was going to be Brock Bottom.
You
but
thought, yeah.
I don't think it was that.
It was not.
I don't think it was that.
Not at all. Welcome into the Vitamin Energy Warchant Wrap. VitaminEnergy.com is the website. They have the promo code Warchant
BOGO. Go and get you some Vitamin Energy.
It's the least you could do. They've stepped up. They've supported this 1-5 football team.
Yep.
You can support Vitamin Energy. Yeah, man, 29-13, Florida State falls to Clemson. Depending on when you got in on the action,
Noles might have covered for you.
The Noles might have covered. They might not have covered for you if you got them early in the week. But Florida State falls 29-13, and a game that, I mean, look, man, if you're looking at the box score in terms of total yardage, if you watch the game, it felt like a lot more dominant than that. Clemson had 500 yards of total offense. They ran for 265, I think, and held you to 22 yards rushing. So they dominated the line of scrimmage. They dominated the game in a lot of ways, except in the red zone, Florida State's defense was really good. And then Brock Glenn, getting his first start of 2024, honestly looked a whole lot better than any other time we've seen Brock Glenn, I thought.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, considering where we saw him, what we saw in the last 2 years.
Even in practice, I feel
correct.
like.
He made a lot of tough throws into tight windows. His 2 touchdown throws were very good throws. It's a really good catch by Amari Williams. But, and it's weird. You watch that game and you think about it, and you're like, I really kind of liked what I saw out of the kid, especially considering you're 1-4. You're playing maybe the best team, probably the best team on your schedule, one of them anyway. Miami is the other. So you're playing one of the best teams on your schedule. You're already 1-4. You've got no running game. You've got the worst running game since Daryl Moodger was here dialing up plays, man. It is unbelievable. Probably before Moodger. Moodger would never have a running attack this crazy, this bad. I mean, Moodger had some pride in the way those guys blocked. So he's not surrounded. There's no... You're not put in a position to succeed at all. So with all that, to contextualize it, all that contextualized.
You're down 17-0.
And you start out 17-0. You throw an interception because your receiver runs the wrong route, or I don't know if it's a route necessarily, but he makes the wrong sight adjustment. And then after that, I thought he settled down and looked like a competent Division I quarterback, an athletic Division I quarterback, which we see all over this country, Ira.
Yeah, Brock Glenn finishes, I think, 23 of 41 for about 228 yards. We just finished writing our little stories after the game.
About 228. Could have been 227.
228 yards,
okay.
Which is the second highest passing total they've had this season. It's also the most completions they've had in a game this season.
Wonderful.
And with 2 touchdown passes, that ties for a season high. DJ Uyunglele in the first 5 games only had 2 touchdown passes in 1 game. I say all that to say it was not an unbelievable defense or passing performance.
Right.
But considering who they were playing and considering what this offense has looked like and all the things you talked about, yeah, man, I felt Mike Norvell should have been much happier in the postgame.
Go watch that press conference, by the way.
I think it's because his football team is 1-5.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, Brock looks like he's the real answer. Joe Montana out there. I don't see too well.
But when you talk about
Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback,
but when you think about this team came into this game with a youth movement, you had a redshirt freshman starting on the offensive line. You had a redshirt freshman at quarterback. You have two freshman tight ends, Lennon Thomas and Amari Williams, playing big roles. Freshman running back Cam Davis. You have freshman.
Makai Danzy was out there. McCoy was out there. They didn't make any plays, but they were out there.
First and second year guys really all over that offense. I don't know, man. In a normal world, in a normal Florida State football world, that would not be a lot to be excited about. But after what we've watched the last 5 weeks, man, the last 5 games, I feel like there's some encouragement going into the bye week.
And we need to make that crystal clear. We are not over the moon with what happened. I was going to say, and I forgot to add this, even as good as I felt about the way Brock Glenn played and the plays he did make, they finished with 13 points. They scored 2 touchdowns again. This is just what they do. They score 2 touchdowns no matter who's playing quarterback, no matter what the defense is. But I do think, because you want to project moving forward, okay, when you're playing a defense that's not Clemson, maybe those 2 touchdowns turn into, I don't know, 24 points. Maybe you're touching 30. Maybe you're sniffing 30.
Down.
I don't know. I've seen it happen. I saw Vanderbilt put up flipping 40. But, yeah, Florida State put up 13 because that's what they do. They are the worst offense in the country. Well, no, UCLA still holds that title. I think UCLA holds that title, but Florida State is now second worst. And it's just it's really depressing that I think when you do the 30,000-foot view, it's really depressing that we're sitting here. And genuinely, we're not mustering up excitement. We're genuinely excited about some things we saw from Brock Glenn. He made some special plays and some special throws, not nearly special enough. But how depressing it is that we're excited about that when you just got doubled up in yardage and lost by 16 points to your rival in a game that wasn't nearly probably as competitive as the final score.
Yeah, a lot of Florida State fans right now, I think, are probably a little bit mad at Mike Norvell from the standpoint of, listen, man, he wasn't good enough to beat Clemson, but
he could have beaten Memphis.
Right, that's what I think the feeling is. Maybe he gives you a better chance against BC. Maybe it's Memphis. What I would say, though, is, again, as I started off this, I thought Brock Glenn looked better tonight than he even has in practice. I've not been blown away. There was a few practices early in camp. I don't know. It could be just because he knew DJ was going to be the starter.
Right.
And maybe that, and then he's getting to work with the twos a lot. But, man, he looked like a different guy out there, and obviously a completely different guy than when we saw him last year in those two ridiculous situations. But the great thing for Brock Glenn is this is the first time since he was in we were talking about it in the press box, this is probably the first time since he was in high school that he's left a game and felt good about himself.
Right.
Not good about the game, but felt positive about what he did. Because
they did not win the ACC championship in Charlotte because of the greatness of Brock Glenn.
They did not.
Yeah.
They somehow mustered some points around him. And that was,
I remember that game. I think they ran a play out of the Wildcat. They went for 75 yards.
What is this thing you're talking about?
No, see what it is you put the quarterback maybe out wide and you have a running back like a skill guy take the snap and then he runs with the ball.
Is that legal?
No, I think so. At least it was last year in Charlotte. Maybe it was outlawed. It was banned in the offseason. But, yeah, it used to be allowed. I know it did.
There were some decisions. The nice thing about the offense looking a little bit better is it gave us a chance to kind of actually think about decisions again.
And think about what you just said. They looked a little bit better. They scored 13 points.
They did look a little bit better. The passing game looked a little bit better. The running game was as bad as it's ever been.
Can we just talk about it on a second? This isn't normal, folks. This isn't right. This isn't how college football is supposed to be. You can have like poor running games. You can have a running game that's not quite up to standard. This is an abject failure on every single level. To have Clemson gave up 200 yards rushing to Stanford. It is not. They are not an immovable wall.
No.
And you cannot run on anyone. With all these offensive linemen that have played all these snaps, and you got guys that were 4-star guys, and you've got guys that you believe in, you can't run on anyone. And that's very depressing.
I had a hard time asking that question to Mike Norvell because I don't even know, like, where do you even
start? They had 7 yards rushing if you take away Brock Glenn's scrambles. 7 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think Cam Davis led the running backs with like 13 yards on 7 carries or 8 carries.
No. Toafili had 16 yards on 10 carries.
Okay, my bad.
And that includes a 9-yarder.
Yeah.
So his other 9 carries, he had 7 yards.
It's really it's hard to it's just hard to wrap your mind around. And the problem is,
I don't want to normalize it, though. You know what I
mean?
I don't want to normalize. They got 11 yards rushing. What are you going to do?
And it's 6 games into the season.
Yes.
They ran the ball that first drive against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And after that, it has been a complete disaster.
Yeah, they've just,
and like you said, with a bunch of veteran offensive linemen. Now, they've had some injuries, but, man, it's just been crazy. And, the backs.
How are you not, and I asked him about this, I'm probably going to ask him every week, how do you not, when you have a quarterback that's more mobile, how does he not pull it once? How does he not pull it once just to get a 12-yard run and maybe change the math and change the way they defend your other runs? He never pulled the ball once. I saw Clemson's quarterback running it a great deal.
Yeah. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm not mad, though. I'm over it. I'm on to Duke.
Let's flip it to defense.
Okay. No. Now I'm mad again.
That was mind-boggling. So Clemson had the ball 7 times in the first half. They scored
3 and out on the first drive, by the way. Remember that.
They did.
3 and out.
After that, though, the next 6 drives were 5 scoring drives and 1 blocked field goal.
Yeah.
So literally the next 6 drives, all 6 of those drives, I believe, went over 50 yards. So literally, it was like 2009 Florida State defense. I mean, it's
3 not 7.
And that
3 not 7.
I don't know if it's, and I don't know if it's lack of effort, because when they got in the red zone, the defense played pretty well. They did force field goals. Now,
their 2 touchdowns were your safety knocking your cornerback off the ball and somehow making one of the worst plays the safety's ever made. Not even to bat it down, but then to actively thrust him towards the goal line. But then their other touchdown was that screen pass where other teams can run it. They block it up well, where they catch it and run forward with it, where your safety took another bad angle and scored. But those were both obviously outside the red zone.
Yeah. Once they got in the red zone, the defense did show some resolve, and you got to give them a little bit of credit for it. But it's hard to give you any credit when you're the same unit that gave up 500 yards of offense, over 300 yards of offense in the first half. And again, just didn't show up.
You forced 2 punts. One was the first drive of the game. The other one was they punted from, midfield, and your punt returner just lets the ball bounce because why would he go catch that? But otherwise, every drive they had, 7 field goal attempts is nuts. That's got to be close to a school record for Clemson to try 7 field goals. So again, they buttoned it. They did well after letting him get down to the 20. But it would be nice when you finally scored a touchdown. It's a 10-point game. There's still a lot of time left. The very, very, very first play is a 60-yard run.
Out the gate.
It was a 60-yard run. That's the story of this football season. They can't put anything together. Special teams plays well. Well, the offense hasn't played well all season. But you had a chance to maybe grab some momentum and put some real game pressure on Clemson, and you give up a 60-yard run immediately.
Well, they're 1-5 on the season, guys. And I think they might be one of the more talented 1-5 teams in college football.
One of the more likable 1-5 teams I've ever covered.
Say that. I don't know. They do get a bye this week, so they will not lose next Saturday. Then they'll return the following Friday night at Duke, right? You're going to be up there?
Did Duke win, Aslan? Duke lost to Georgia Tech. So their storybooks, their Cinderella season's over. They're going to be reeling. So Florida State can go in and maybe hand them another loss.
I did also appreciate I ran into a Clemson staff member today before the game who told me he enjoys our videos.
Yeah, it's weird that a Clemson guy would be watching the wrap-ups of Florida State games.
It's amazing.
Hey, it all comes around now. It all comes around. Sometime soon we'll be watching watching a Clemson wrap-up video.
I'm going to end on a positive note, though. I am just glad that these young skill guys are getting opportunities because we've been saying that since preseason camp.
Yep.
And yes, they're going to make mistakes. They made mistakes tonight. The interception that Brock Glenn threw, it's a second-year player supposed to break in. He broke out. And it becomes an interception.
And so that was Hakeem, and he also fumbled a ball later in the game, but it was after he made a couple guys miss and was fighting for yards, and that was a good catch. I mean, he made some real plays, and it's just you can't overstate how much that matters to actually make plays in the moment, not just out on the IPF or on the practice field with nobody watching. And I do think moving forward, Amari Williams and Landon Thomas is. He's a guy that looks like he's a dude that belongs on the last year's team or the 13 team. Like, he fits in. He is a real player. That was really good to see. You might have a guy. And Danzy, as we talked about, catch the ball. I do think Brock's arm got hit as he was throwing it, but still it was very catchable. It would have been a 40, 50-yard catch. He's a weapon. You've got to utilize him. You don't have other people like that. He is just a guy that he's the fastest guy on any field he's going to be on.
I don't know if the TV angle showed you guys or not, but if you were in the stadium, you could see it. When he comes on those wheel routes, I mean, the DB, whoever's over there has no prayer to stay with him. He is so fast. They're going to have to start playing 20 yards off the ball.
It's good to put that on the film at least to be able to play. I mean, you could get him a jet sweep or two, but why? Right. Why would you do that when you can have a slow developing mesh play 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage?
Trying to hit a positive note over here, Corey.
Sorry.
VitaminEnergy.com is the website.
That's the positive note to end on.
Warchant BOGO is the promo code. Guys, Vitamin Energy is the goods. It is the goods. It'll give you the energy you need.
We would be drinking one right now, but we ran out. We had to do it at halftime.
Third quarter. For Corey Clark and Aslan Hajavandi signing off from Joe Campbell Stadium, where Florida State falls to Clemson 29-13.